Yeah, guys. Okay, welcome back, everybody, to Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dee Dee. This is a live show on Ustream.tv. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, thanks for being here. It's a live show with a live audience, no editing. What you see is what you get. We upload just the show. Anyway, so we have made two magazine journals. So in part one, I showed how, these are some other ones that I have, how to make magazine journals, and what they are is journals made out of magazines. And so these are two of my older ones. You can see they're really well loved, they're well used. I did show a little bit of the insides of these on the making of the two new ones. So I won't go through those again because I want to get crack-a-lackin' and do something in them. So we used 4 Flow magazines. There's some little scrap of something there. Oh, that's still that same little biz keeps worrying me there. We made 1 out of 4 Flow magazines. And as you can see, I use my Flow magazine. So there's a lot of stuff cut out of that one. But this is 4 of them. And on this one, we used some heavy glossy scrapbook paper to cover and wrap all the way around, and then a second piece here with the spine being wrapped to there, and used just the paper to wrap all the way around the spine. So I showed how to glue and all that. This one is 2 Flow magazines, and again you can see I've taken a lot of stuff out of the magazines themselves, and this one we glued and sealed with packing tape, a washi tape spine. Okay, so this one has a washi tape spine. This one has the paper wrapped all around the spine. Anyway, so I want to show you how some of the things you can do in them. Now, for the most part, what I do is, as I showed in the first part, you white out or color out the things that you don't want to keep. Well, let me go ahead and show an example. For instance, here's a page here. This was already in the magazine, and this is all painted out, distressed with inks and all kinds of things. You can just paint out all around things like this. This is all things that are left from those pages, and then just paint it out. You can stencil, you can stamp. Let me see here. This has just got some extra collage stuff on it. You can, I want to find one that's got some stenciling and stamping on. I don't do a lot of stenciling and stamping in mine, but you can do a lot of painting out, painting on top, put your own images in. Where's one with stencil? Let's see. I think it's in the other one. Hang on. This one's got more in it. Here's where we've done writing with I just took a bottle of ink and just wrote with the stopper thing, and wrote. And then these were the images here, and then they've been painted, distressed. Let's see. It's another one. Another one. This one's real distressed. I'm trying to find the ones with stencils. Here's one with minimal amount of paint. Here's one with some stencils painted in. Here's one with a lot of stencil. You can use your rubber stamp, stenciling. I'm trying to flip to so you can see. So in your magazine journal, you can use it for a lot of different things. Here's some famous pears. Again, this is just written with the eyedropper. There's another one where you painted out the background. So like this was the image, and then painted out the whole thing. Here's a lighter color one. So essentially what you're doing is you're picking an image off of the magazine and using it as your color inspiration and using those colors to reverse collage or get rid of the things you don't want on the page. Okay? So I don't add a lot of collage in mine. I use more just painting out things. So yeah, that's what we're going to do, a couple of samples. Now, these I use old Flow magazines. You can use whatever kind of magazine you like. If you're into nature, get you nature magazines. My mom loves Birds in Bloom and, you know, those kind of magazines. Oh, and also let me give you a tip from my mom. She does color books as well. Is she will, when she gets done with her magazine, like Birds in Bloom or nature magazines, she does a lot of color booking. So what she does is she cuts out the birds, the leaves, the butterflies, and keeps them as reference material to how to color those things in color books. Now, of course, you can always just look it up on Pinterest or Google Images or whatever, but she takes her magazines and cuts out good images of birds, butterflies, flowers, leaves for the colors, so that when she's coloring a color book page that has flowers, birds, but whatever, she has a reference to how to color. And you know, she wouldn't consider herself an artist. She doesn't paint and all that, but she likes to color. So that is a good way to keep your color book references. And I think she just puts them in some plastic sleeves. But what I was going to say is you could use your magazine journals to collect your color book photos that you cut out of other magazines. Like, let's just say A Bird in a Bloom. If I cut out a bunch of birds, I could glue them in this book and you could tab them. Some of these even have the tabs left from the Flow, but you could tab this and use this as kind of a glue book, reference book. I have mostly animal magazines. How can I keep my journal exciting? Well, in this case, I have 4 magazines. You know, there's 4 different magazines. If you don't want them to be like solid animals, then don't use them as like the only magazine, or you can glue things on top of it, or paint them out and glue other things on top of them. Because just treat it like it's an art journal, but with a start to it already. If you think of the magazine journal as a magazine, as an art journal, so whatever you like to do in your art journals, whether it's collage, painting, mixed media, you know, glue books, journaling, whatever you like to do in your regular art journals, you can do in a magazine journal, but you've already got a start to it. So if you come to a page and it's just not something, it's a lot of text, you don't really want to keep that. You may want to keep that article. You may not. You don't have to paint every single page. You can keep some like it is. It can be a combination. It can be whatever you like. So, like for instance, here's a whole bunch of pages I've already torn out of the Flow. Okay. And so it can be a combination of whatever you like to do in your regular art journal, but you have some starts to things. So it's not just, you don't have a blank slate to start with. Okay? Thanks, Busy Jill. Good to see you. And I do have some pages that got a little glued together because we just made this magazine journals in the last show. And I was a little not as careful as I should have been with the glue, so some of the pages got a little stuck on the edges. Okay, so, all right, let's just start with, well, I want something a little bit more, like, okay, for instance here. Well, let's start with this. And I did use the Flow magazines. I used 4 of them in this one, and I used 2 of them in this one, and I just did the spines differently on the 2, so that's why I got 2 different ones here. I like them thick and fluffy, and if they start getting fluffy, I don't mind that. But I will say again, like I said in the other part, when you make these, if you just want to start from the first page and work all the way to the back, your spines will end up looking like this. They're warped. The spines in the magazine journal will warp if you just try to go front to back like I did here. If you want to prevent that, at least to a greater degree, then you want to work some in the front, some in the back, some in the middle, go back to the front, come back to the back. And then the spines, your 4 glued spines, or however many you've glued together, what won't warp as badly is if you're working all different spots in the book rather than going front to back, because you're getting those pages wet and you're warping it slowly, slowly, slowly as you work your way back. So we're going to start in the back. Now, I do realize that some people can't work that way, don't like to work that way, won't work that way. That's fine, but just be aware that if you're working front to back in these magazine journals, the pages are going to warp. The spines are going to, get, jimmied up, Okay. So we're going to start with this, just for an example. I really don't want any of this, this article here. And again, it's totally up to you. There's the word inspiration there. I might want to keep that word there. It's totally up to you because it's your personal book. So however you want to work it. Now, I do need to put something under here to kind of prop this up, just so, because I am working on a big spine there. So you'll probably want to put something behind there when you want to, give it some pressure, work on there. Wondering what I was going to do with your Flow magazine. Well, there you go. Or in this case, I just have a bunch of Flows. Now, I will say this, guys. In my Flow magazine, I've probably cut out or torn out all the cool papers, the stickers, the pull-outs, the punch-outs. I've probably already pulled all that out. Okay, this is the guts of the leftover Flow magazines. But you could use the full-on magazine, right? You wouldn't, without taking any. Well, I would still take out the cardstock, the pretty papers, the wrapping paper, the envelopes, and the stickers. But so let's just start with this for an example. Some of the pages in the Flow are glossy, some are matte, some are cardstock, heavy cardstock. They're all different. Oh, I like this one too. Maybe this would be a better, well, all right, let me put again, I did accidentally get a little too much glue. I'm going to maybe we'll do this page too, because this has got some good colors in it. I'm going to post-it note here to go to this one next. Okay. All right. So what I think is really beneficial about, all right, that's not puffed up enough. Let me get my old, let me get one of my old magazines, because see how, I'm working on a 1-inch. There we go. That flattens that out. Fix my camera's crooked. And I hope we're good as far as not too, it's a little dark. Let me lighten it up just a little, guys. The sun went over the house, and so it got dark in here. There we go. What I found is beneficial about the magazine journals, other than just making it your own journal where you can add anything, is trying to play with color, matching color. There's other books that I like in my collage, I like to be able to learn how to blend colors. What I like about the magazine journal is how you can practice matching color. Now, you are working mostly on glossy paper in most magazines. Like I said, Flow has a combination of matte and glossy magazines, but if you want to, if you're working in your standard magazines, although I think A Simple Living, there's a few that are all matte paper, but for the most part, most magazines are glossy. So you're going to have to use acrylic paint, unless you plan on clear gessoing every magazine page, which I will never do. I don't even use gesso, I just use paint. But for instance, I'm seeing the colors in here of a minty green, and again, acrylic paints, my favorites are Americana, just because I like Americana colors and coverage. Any acrylic paint, can do. This, if you don't have every exact color, then try to get you out a green and a white and try to mix your colors. That's another good practice for mixing your own colors. But what does that work? Then you can use it like I was saying earlier. There's a lot of things you can do. It's just like if it was a regular art journal. Whatever you do with your art journals is the same thing you do with a magazine journal. But instead of starting with a blank white sheet, you're starting with some imagery as a background to build on. Okay? You can add your color book pages in these, like we have our napkin journal and our collage Dilutions mixed media journal where we add color book pages. You can add color book cutouts. You can add collage. You can put quotes, cut your quotes out. You know, there's all kinds of color books with quotes already in them. So let me grab one here. Like for instance, let's see. Okay, so like for instance, now this one has watercolor paper and this is thicker. It's the Prima one, it's a little thicker. But any color book that has like quotes in them, you can color these, cut them out, and so you can make this part of a quote. You can also cut out your own letters. Stencil your own letters. Cut your own letters out. I showed y'all how to take like, let me get another example here. Hang on. Let me find one of those papers I had the other day. Hang on, guys, I'm trying to get something here. A flow paper. Got some stuck here. Hang on. Or scrapbook paper, anything. You know, thinner is better if you're gonna glue anything in these magazine journals. You realize they're gonna start fluffing up. They're gonna start bulking up, depending on how much. But like for instance, you can take just a, you know, this is one of the flow things. And I'm just gonna do this real quick, guys. I'm gonna do this real quick just so you can kind of see. You would want to do it in pencil. I'm gonna do it in marker just so it shows up. But you can take your name. Let's just see here. You can take your name and make like bubble letters with your name. Again, you would do this in pencil, not marker, even though the marker's really not even showing up. Okay, so just so we can do a quick little demo here. But you can take these papers, pretty paper, it can be scrapbook papers. The flow papers are just a little thinner, you know. And you can cut your own letters, alphabets. I'm going to do this kind of quick, just for a demo. But it's another way to use your pretty papers and your magazine journal. Okay, still got glue and tape on these scissors from part 1. Let's get that off there. Let me get my littler scissors. These are going to be cleaned off. Okay, so for instance, I'm just going to do a quick one here. You know, obviously you would take your time. Let me see where I'm going with this. I can't even tell. I use the marker. I still can't tell. So you could just, I'm just going to do it as far as I can right here, just to give you the idea. And take your pretty paper, take your time obviously, and map it out with a pencil. Sketch it out. Or you can use a stencil. You can use a stencil. And cut your name out, you know, out of pretty paper. Okay? You can do all kinds of things like this. And you can use that kind of thing in your magazine journal too. I would recommend, because it's thinner, okay? These kind of papers that are thinner. Because if you start getting too thick and bulky, which I don't care. In mine, I don't care if they bulk up. But some people go, oh my gosh, it looks like it's that thick now. You know, it will get thick if you had, you know, depending on what you use. All right, so now let's go back to the painting process. I just wanted to show you a little thing you can, you know, another little tip. So those are the kind of things, anything that you usually normally do, in your regular art journals, whether they're collage, mixed media, the Dylusion one, a composition book, whatever kind of journal you use to do your art journaling in, you can do the same exact stuff in a magazine journal, but you've got a background already started for you. And if you don't like the background, so you just white it out, paint it out. So that's, another thing you can do. So just like we use now, we're using, instead of just collage elements, we're using a lot of our color book page elements, where we take bits of our color books, especially ones that are kind of generic, not necessarily the story ones. Like I wouldn't take my Doctor Who color book and cut out one Doctor Who and glue it in it. You could, of course, but I'm more apt to take ones that are full of flowers and animals and general color book images and use those, leaves and flowers and that kind of thing, and use those to cut up and cut apart and put in a journal, right? So let me go ahead and do this page right here. So there's a minty green. So I'm going to just, again, this is dry paint. This is dry palette paint, but if, you can also, clean these plastic coffee lids just by pulling them off, and then you can see, a lot of people love paint skins, so you can see all the paint colors that are built up in here. If you're not used to mixing paints or using paints on top of each other, it's probably best to have a white palette and not be working on top of other colors if you're not used to it. So I cleaned that off just so you can see fresh colors. So I'm going to put out some of the mint green. Okay. I'm liking the pink. So I think I'll go with a couple shades of pink. Let's go with the lighter pink here. Maybe the lighter pink and a little darker pink. And let's go with those. And I also see a blue. Okay, I froze for a second, guys. Hang on. Okay, I think we're back. There we go. I froze for just a second. Sometimes that happens when I get a bunch of mail come in. Okay, so that's that darkest pink there. It looks oranger on camera, but I probably won't use a whole lot of it. I really want these minty colors. Then I see up here a little bit of lavender. It's almost kind of like my Blue Harbor Blue, but lighter. So I'm going to put out some Blue Harbor Blue, but I'm going to add white to it so that it's lighter. So this is just a great way for you to practice matching colors, blending colors. Like I want that lighter, so I'll take a brush here. Let me move some of these scissors out of the way and some of this other stuff. Okay, so I'm going to just get a little bit of that blue into the white until I mix it up to the lightest color I want there. See? Okay. So this is a good way to practice all that. Now, you can do this a few different ways. You can take and paint. Let me make a little bit more of that because I'm going to use quite a bit. You can paint the whole page out. Oh, wait. Let me recommend, because I've done it so many times, I should know. You want to put some wax paper behind, because especially if you go edge to edge. If you go all the way to the edge and off the edge of your paper, you're going to glue your pages together if you're not careful. Okay, so you might want to just start with painting out everything. Now, if you don't use gesso, which I don't, you can do a couple things. You can start with just white paint and paint out with white, and it'll take a couple coats, or just get a base coat of white like this, just like you would be gessoing it, but with white paint. Let that dry, or hit it with your heat gun, and then go over it with your color. You can do it however you want. Again, it's your book, guys. I'm just showing you a few different things. It depends on how somebody asked you, is it best to finger paint or use a brush? It depends on how close you want to get to something. Like if I want to really go around this little word, the word inspiration here, it's probably best if you have a brush because you can get right up on it. It depends on what you want to do. Okay, it's like any other kind of art journal. Now, right now, I'm not even trying to get this necessarily a full coverage. I'm just trying to get rid of the white. And I want it kind of, in this case, I want it kind of a little sketchy like, you know, like not, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's not like 100% covered. It's got a little bit of sketchy, painterly look to it. But if you want it full on flat color, then you can do that too. But I'm going to show you a couple different things you can do. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple different ways and things you can do. But I'm just going from the color that's in that particular little flower thing there. Okay, so I need some baby wipes too. Let's just go ahead and keep the word Wondrous World. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and do thicker here and cover up everything else. And again, I'm using some of the darker, some of the lighter, keeping it kind of marbly looking. But you can do it however you want. Get some on there, just wipe it away. It's gloss paper. Okay, so let's just say you want to keep Wondrous World. So that's the thing about a magazine journal. You got a base for something. You got a base for something. So you're not starting with just a white page and you go, I don't know what to do on that blank white page. Okay, so I need some more paint. Okay, so I'm going to use fingers, I'm going to use a brush, and I'm going to use a palette knife. So I'm going to do all different things so you can see all different things. Okay, so I'm just going to cover up. And sometimes, depending on how, you know, the different kinds of magazine paper and how dark it is compared to, like, if I was covering this with yellow paint, I'd probably put a coat of white paint down first. Because yellow is so translucent, it's probably not going to cover it, black words, right? So I'd probably put a coat of white paint first and then let that dry and then go over it with yellow. So you'll learn that. That's one of the things about something like this is you start learning about what paints do what colors do what. There's just so much benefit. It's just like a color book, in my opinion. A color book is going to teach you how to blend and use different mediums and watercolor and blending and shading and highlighting. Well, it's the same kind of thing with this, just with, you know, acrylic paint. Okay? All right, let me do a test and make sure my chat didn't freeze. There we go. All right, so, again, there's a little bit of, you know, okay, let me get another piece of wax paper. I don't want to forget this because I will be the first one to glue my pages together with paint. So I want to kind of tie this in with this, and there's a little bit of blue there, gray blue, but not a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and add some around the background here. So I'm going to paint out whatever I don't want. Let's go around those leaves right there. Let's just say there was some text there I didn't want. Well, so you can paint around, and you can take more time, guys. Again, I always am a little hurried, you know, do things a little fast on stream. You don't have to rush. You can take your time. If I want to add images from another magazine, do tear out them and then blend them. You can do that. It's anything. It's anything. One of the girls asked about collaging in something else. Like you saw where in my other, in this one, whoops, hang on guys. This book here is, I call it reverse collaging when you do this kind of thing. And this one, it's cityscapes where I've taken out things and then you can add things back in. Let me see. Like here, for instance. All these buildings were already there. I know it wants to flash out, guys, there. Painted them out. Painted it out and left the buildings, so you can do that. But as far as adding other things in, let me show you my Sean page. So here's one where I added Sean Connery in the fountain. So I painted some things out, then added Sean Connery to it, and then painted over him to look like he's in the fountain. Okay, so yes, you can add your own collage elements. But be aware that the more collage-y stuff you add, the thicker the book is going to be. So, you know, you do have to note that. Okay. I picked up the wrong color there. Oh, well, that's too dark, though. It's too much pink yet. I got too many rabbit trails going on. This is gloss paper, so that just wiped right off. The other thing that I did want to say about using gloss magazine images, okay, and matte paint, which if you want to do any kind of pencil work or anything like that, you want the matte, because you know, just it would be like trying to color pencil on a glossy magazine. You know that's not going to work. However, if you're just getting rid of parts of the magazine, if you're getting rid of parts of the images like we're doing here, you're going to have some areas that are matte paint and some that are glossy imagery. Okay, now you can do a couple things with that. I kind of like the way that looks with different textures on it, but if you want it all one thing, you're going to have to varnish your whole page. And again, I have a couple of different varnishes. You can use matte or gloss, but if you want it to not be two different things, you're going to have to varnish it. If you want it all gloss, you'll varnish it over gloss. If you want it all matte, which, you know, I would wait till you're completely done with your page. Completely done with your page. I need more blue. Before you put any kind of varnish on it. Okay. And I use Delta Ceramcoat because it doesn't let my pages stick. I don't care in my magazine journal. That's not the purpose for me of a magazine journal. I like to mix and play with colors and blending colors and this kind of thing. So I don't care if some of it's matte and some of it's gloss, but be aware, depending on the kind of magazine you use, that will show up. Hope that makes sense. So I'm just getting rid of a lot of the background here. You can get rid of as much or as little of the background as you want. It depends on what you're going to do with it. If you want to do journaling on this, again, you're going to have to find the pens that work on top of acrylic paint, like a Biro or a Bic Crystal. You know, those kind of pens work fine on top of acrylic paint. You gotta work with your materials. It's mixed media, right? It's mixed media, so you're mixing things. Okay, so for instance, now I just got that. I went with that one. That right there is what inspired me to cover both pages with this color. Okay, there's my inspiration for that color. Now I'm gotta get some more white out here. Now there's a couple other things you can do. You can take, if I can find it again, a palette knife, and depending on how distressed you want something to be, like I showed you, some of the other pages are more distressed than others. You can ink your edges when you're done. You can, spread on ink or whatever. But if you just want to kind of blend this into the background, I'm saving the drool for... So I'm going to pick up a little bit of pink and white. I just kind of dabbed it in there. And I can go in here and start texturing up and adding. Now this is an imperfect science here, guys. When you're adding palette knife scrapings, it is what it is. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of mint green. Okay, down here, I'm going to scrape in. Now, if you do get some areas that you've got too much paint, you go, oh my gosh, I got way too much paint on there. While it's wet, don't fear. Take your wet baby wipe, your damp wet baby wipe, and get in there and start softening edges, blending edges. Leave some kind of texture-y. Again, it's quite thick. I've kind of put that on quite the scraping in with the palette knife. It's quite thick. So you could blend this completely out if you wanted. Okay? Or you can just blend it some and leave some of that texture showing in. But the point in this is all the different colors that I'm combining that are based on that flower. Okay, so I got some pink here, and that green flower is kind of getting lost in the green paint. So I'm going to pick up some pink, and I'm going to put a pink in there. Okay. Then again, I can leave it texture-y or take my baby wipe and kind of blend it out. Let it dry and add another layer. You can layer this up as much as you want. But here's a pretty background based on, and you can also paint up on your baby wipe and blend it in with your baby wipe. Okay? Or you can pick it up with your finger and blend some in with your finger. carry it over to this page over here. Okay, so you can do any of it. You can use a brush, your finger, a palette knife, a baby wipe, whatever you want. And then again, just like we do in the napkin journal, okay, imagine this like in our napkin journal, where we've taken different decorative napkins as the background and put our color book images on top. Now if we wanted to, the same way, let me just see if I got one sitting here. Now I could take a color book image and color it up and add that into the works. See? So she could be colored. Again, I always recommend you color your images before you glue them down. So you could color her, little fairy, color her, and then glue her into a world, and then paint her in, just like we do the napkin journal, the collage journal, or anything like that. So right there, you have this page, and you have Wondrous World. Now you can go over here, and you can start doing other things. I could take some of the pink, could go around, start doing a little bit of, make some more things here. Let's get some green in there. We can do whatever. Then we could also take, let's just say she was a flower. You could take flowers and put them around. Add your color book flowers around your thing here. She could be here, flowers around here. You could cut out a quote. Again, I'm not one to write in these journals much. For one, it's tricky to write on acrylic paint, right? But you could do whatever. Let's just make some clouds here. You can do whatever you want. It's just like a mixed media art journal, except it's a magazine as your base. Okay? It's your magazine as a base to work in other elements. Alrighty. And again, if you get into an area where your fingers are too big for something, then you can get in a brush, right? But we're going to have Wondrous World floating. Okay. And then have your color book fairy over here. So you see how it works? I hope you're getting the idea. You can carry this all the way up as far as you want. You could turn this into, you can just do whatever. Put birds up here flying. You can have birds flying up here, whatever you want to do. So this is the kind of things you can use with your with your magazine journal. Just like your mixed media collage journal, your napkin journal, your any kind of journal. You're doing the same thing, but your background has got a little bit of inspiration going for you already. Thanks, Terry. You already got a little bit of inspiration and color theme going for you. So now I could color her in different shades of minty green, pinks, or contrast her, so that she stands out. But this is the kind of thing that you can do with the magazine journal, just like you would any of your mixed media journals. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions? So you saw what we started with here. Now look, you see, you can do anything. Okay, so I'm just kind of waiting. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this, and I'm going to leave her in here, and I'll leave her sticking out because I want to, as this is a good example page, and we can maybe sometime go back and color her and put her in. Okay, so let's dry this before we close the book. And you can spend as much time as you want. I can also go in here with an ink. Well, let me dry it first, because you want to dry it before you add any ink pads. But I'll go ahead and do that just to show you. Take notes. Thanks, Dax. Take notes, guys. All this stuff is interchangeable with whatever you do. You want to make sure it's dry well before you close acrylic paint, because then you'll just glue your pages together. If you're not sure if it's dry, then put your wax paper between the two until you're 100% sure it's dry, right? Okay. Now, let me get an ink pad here. Let's see what color. Kind of give a gray blue. Weathered wood. Here's weathered wood. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to grab these two. They're probably not coordinated, but I'm just going to grab a couple. You can use whatever ink pad you want. This is going to be too teal. Let's try with this one. So I just want to show you how you can ink. So you can take, if you want this really distressed, take your ink pad. Now, I'm not one to border my pages much, but if you like borders, you can take your ink pads. Let's see if that's going to, yeah, that's going to work. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to see much because this is a subtle one. You see how it's going on the page there? If you like that textury look, see, there you can see it there. If you like more of if you think adding ink around your edges helps with the cohesiveness, then, you know, take your ink pad. Now make sure it's dry. Make sure you don't want to ruin your ink pads with wet paint, but you can, you know, add distress paint, ink pads, just smooshing it around the edges. Okay, so you can do that. It can be brown. You could put brown, black, you know, whatever you want around it. And then, you know, that would be kind of like that. Now let me go ahead and hit this with the heat gun again because of the ink. And if you want it smoother, you just, you know, blend your paint out better. You don't leave it, don't use a palette knife to make it textury. You know, you can use your paint brushes. Use your paint brushes to make a nice, smooth, almost painting-like thing. You could practice painting over things. Like if you want to practice getting those exact pink colors, get you some, you know, 3 shades or 2 shades of pink and some white and whatever. And let me get a brush here. Let's see. Oh, it's a smaller one. Dampen it. And you could practice. Say like, okay, I want to try to practice getting those pinks. You could come in here and you can say, okay, that's pretty close. Okay, you could even make an extra petal if you want. Or you could paint right over those petals. And get in there with some white and a little bit, you know, and then get in there. And so you can practice your painting details. There's a lot of things you can do with your paint and practice on your magazine images. This is all about learning and playing and practicing, and you can just do all that. With your paint. Hey, Miss Allie, anybody else popping in? So you see? Let's go down here to this green one. Same thing. Take the minty green and start maybe making that stand out a little bit more in your background. Add a touch of white and lighten it up. You make your petals in there. Just wipe it back because it's glossy. In this case, it's glossy paper. just depending on what, kind of paper you got there. Make some more rose petals. It's very subtle. So you can just practice and play with your paint in your magazine journal. And you got something to work with, see? Hey, Jean. Jean, I want to be a part of the New Year's. Sign me up. Jean's organizing it this year, I think. I heard a rumor. I have not watched the show yet, Jean. I've not watched your recording yet, but I think Jean's organizing the 24-hour stream for New Year's Eve, where we all take an hour and 24 hours of art and craft leading up to New Year's around the world. So Jean, I think it's Jean's organizing it. Am I correct, Jean? And I've done that, Sarah. I've actually done that. And so I do want to be a part of it, Jean. And 24 hours of streamers around the world, because we have people all over the world. UK, I think we had someone in Germany. Now we got someone in, where's Little P from? And then we have a lot of people in Oz, Australia, Canada. So we'll do it around the world 24-hour stream. Yeah, put me down, Jean, sometime in the day. You wherever you need somebody, just let me know. Don't put me down at 2 a.m. I'll be you, Jean. If you put me down at 2 a.m., I'll be sleeping in the stream. Hi, Demonte. Yeah. So, okay. So back to our magazine journal. So again, if you're just joining us, let me dry this real quick, guys, because I got wet paint here now again. Let me dry it. Okay, thanks, Jean. Working on a blog post and a sign-up sheet. Okay. Belgium. That's what it was. I couldn't think of Little P. She's in Belgium. Thank you, guys. Okay, so there we go on using, let me take out the wax paper so you can see it nice and clear. So there's where we took, again, if you missed it, you can see the recording at the beginning of the show, what this looked like before we added paint. Again, if that's too textury and too messy for you, then get in there with your paints. Let me just do a little bit here so that you can see. Get in here with your paints. And my paints are already starting to dry under the lights. But you can get in here and make that really smooth if you want. If you don't like all that texture, then make it smoother. I liked it all textury because then it looks like you're in a garden, right? You start making it 100% soft and smooth, which nothing wrong with that, but then your flowers will just pop out. You could make this a flower vase and have the background smoother. I personally just like it like textury like that. So it just depends on what you like. Anita's in Germany. Okay, yeah. So we have, so hopefully we'll have enough, participation to do a 24-hour around the world stream. Okay, so let me hit this with the heat gun again. Thanks, Diane. So what we did in part one, this is part, I call the first part making the magazine journals. This one's going to be working in the magazine journals. So we made this one this morning with this, just a wraparound spine. This is my old one here that I'm using just to prop up on. And then this is the other one we made this morning using a washi tape and packing tape over the washi tape to make a spine. And this one's just with 2 magazines. And I'm just using old Flow magazines. And there's lots of pages already taken out of these magazines because I actually use my Flow magazines. This was actually a cardstock page in one of the flows that I use for this cover. This is a piece of scrapbook paper on the back, and that's just with 2 magazines. Okay, this one we glued together 4 flow magazines. All right, so there's that page, and again, I'm going to leave our little we used something else. This was another sample page, and so we'll leave her in here just to show you that you can use your magazine journals just like you can your mixed media, Dylusions, whatever kind of journal you're used to working in. We can add stencil to this. Maybe I'll get some stencils out for the next page. You can use your stamps, your die cuts. Use your die cuts as stencils. Or you can use your color book images. Color her up, and she has her own little world right there. Wondrous World was already on this page. Okay, we just painted out everything else. So she could be glued in to this page. Okay? Dee Dee, I wrote 5 pages of notes on both. Oh, Whippy. Whippy said she's 5 pages of notes. I love you, Whippy. I love anybody that takes notes and writes down ideas. Because I'll tell you, if you don't have them written down, you're going to forget them. Okay, so, and these tabs were tabs that were already in the old flows. I'll probably end up covering them up. But they're tabs here like Feel Connected, Spoil Yourself, Simplify Your Life, live mindfully, feel connected, and these were just tabs that were already in the Flow magazine, and this is how they came. There were 2 or 3 issues where they did this. So this was in the Flow magazine, and they had these little tabs like this, and you punch the tab out, and then it had a little slit right there, and you would just poke that through, and this is ingenious to me. I mean, this would work with any art journal. And then just keep a little slit right there. And look, it made its own little tab. Isn't that ingenious, guys? I thought that was ingenious. I'd never seen that before until Flow did this. But all you would have to do that is it's just like a little tab. Of course, they had it perforated for you. But cut your little tab, and it would have to be the exact size. And if this starts getting worn, you could always put a piece of tape on this so that reinforces this. And then you take just a little slit right there, and you just fold it over. See, fold that over and tuck it in. And it sticks out and makes its own little tab on your page. Isn't that great? I love that tab idea. And it came that way. It came that way in Flow. See? It came that way. And a couple of different issues. And then they didn't do it anymore after. So I got 2 magazines in here, 2 flows in here that have the tabs already there. I know, right, Sarah? Sarah's a bookmaker. She would love that. Okay, look at this one. Look at this. Finding balance in the city that never sleeps. But look at the possibilities for this, guys. Look at the possibility. Let's say you can't sleep. You could blot all that out and say never sleeps. But I'm going to go back to the page first this one here that we bookmarked that I liked, okay? Because I want to show more colors. But any page, and this is just some leftover from the Flow. Because like I said, I use my flows, right? Here's the 2 covers that are glued together. There's the 2 covers glued together, which gives your book some strength. When you got 2 covers that are glued together within the book, and when we have 4 of them, just remember it's best if you go front to back to front, some in the middle, so your spine doesn't warp. All right, so let's go back to this one right here. Now I can move my extra height here from this, because it's pretty much the same amount. It's like kind of in the middle. Okay. All right. So here we go. There's the spine. Let's open this book all the way. All right. So we want to make sure we don't warp our spines. We don't want to warp them. But it will happen some, guys. It will happen a little bit. It will warp your book some, but yeah. All right, so here we have, all right, so I still have a little bit of pink and white here. I'm going to try to use some of this up on here. Well, I don't know. I kind of like the cream color too. Let's see. What do I want to do? I think I just need all new colors. Let me take the skin out of this one again. Take the paint skin. Oh, well, let's take the paint skin. I don't know if I got enough on this one. This one may not have enough paint built up to actually peel out. You do have to have quite a few layers for it to grab it and peel it. I mean, you can always scrape out the excess paint, but trust me, guys, I have hundreds of these. Hundreds. If it gets too bad, I'll just throw it away or peel the cool skin out of it, which I never use these. I don't use these paint skins, but they are cool. So, all right, so let's just see if I can peel some out. Some of it's thicker than others. All right, there we go. So see the back? This is the original colors, and then you pile them up. But when you flip it over, it's shiny, and you got a paint skin. It's an acrylic paint skin. Awesome. They look so pretty. You know, I've saved a few of them, but I don't really know what to do with them. I don't do anything with them. All right, so let's get some fresh colors here. Okay, I do kind of like this minty green still. And I do like that hot pink. Those two colors, the mint green and the hot pink, I still have a little bit of that there. But I want to go in here now, I think, more with a cream color. I don't know. Those paint skins alone would be way cool as an answer. Yes, they would if you did some. I don't have time to mess with them, right? Okay, so I'm really liking the cream of this. So I think I'm going to go with, let's go ahead and do that. Let's get a couple of tans here. And again, I'm going to kind of sort of mix it up a little myself. But I'm going to get out some, this is sable brown. Again, this is why you practice your colors. It's so fun and beneficial for you to try to mix up your own colors. Okay, then I'm going to go with a little spicy mustard. And I need a little kind of almost a peachy flesh. This is desert sand. So I'm going to go with these three to start with. All right, this one must have a skin on it because it's not, this one must be kind of dried up. Let me go with that. I got another one right here. If you don't close your lids, they can get a skin on the inside, just like these paint skins right here. This happens on the inside of your lid if you don't close it, and the air gets in right there. Dee Dee has Folgers tops, and Jean has KFC plates. Yes, that's true. We gotta open a supply store. Oh, Denise made me throw away. I still have, right now, I have 2 feet of these. Literally 2 feet of these on a shelf. And then I have probably about 5 feet in the closet, and I probably threw away about 10 feet. Because I never threw them away. I kept them all. Like, I don't know why. Because I can just peel it out and have a clean one. You know, or a few. Okay, so I'm going to start with these colors right here. And I think I am going to go ahead and start with the palette knife. I almost could go with a little darker chocolate brown too. Let's test these colors out on here. That's pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cover up the text. And again, you can do it with your finger. You can just scrape some in here. I'm just covering up the text with layers of scrape paint. And don't even have to get rid of all of it. You can leave a little bit of background text. Wait a minute. Let's don't glue our pages together, Dee Dee. Let's put something behind, because I'm always the first one to glue or paint my pages shut. All right, let me readjust my camera here, guys. I'm a little crooked. There we go. That's better. All right. I think I need to focus again. I don't know. How does that look, guys? Does that look okay? I'm trying to keep in focus, and changing so many colors, you know, it's a little tricky. Okay. So I'm just going to get rid of some of and layer up. See how I'm just like lightly going in here with the palette knife? I kind of want to keep that. It's kind of outlined. I don't know if I want I think I'm going to get rid of that. I think I will get rid of that and just keep the floaty green things. Because I want a little green on this page too. If you get too much or whatever, you can wipe it back as long as you get it on the glossy. And you can kind of, okay, it's got a little bit of white edge here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take my finger and go around the edge and get rid, just like I would a collage page. And I'm just blending in the images that are already on the page rather than kind of blending in my collage. That's why I call it reverse collage. Rather than trying to blend in my page, I'm blending the images already there into it rather than adding my own. Does that make sense, Fern? So you see how I'm getting rid of the white edge with paint? And this says recipes on it. I don't want that on it. I'm going to get rid of the word recipe. And I'm just going to keep working all the way around the edge, getting rid of the white little border, which is fine if you like the white border, but I don't want it. I'm getting rid of the white border. So there we go. Get rid of that brown plate. Then maybe scrape in some more to make it more textury. So you see how you just keep working it until you get it. You can take your baby wipe, blend in some more paint, just like we do our mixed media collage. But we're working with the image that's already on there. Okay? And you just get rid of whatever you don't want. Leave it really textury if you like that. This glass line right here is a little distracting to me. I want to just kind of get rid of that. I might want maybe get rid of that right there. I'm going to take my hot pink and go over that too. Again, just whatever you want there or not there. You see, this is why it's so good as a practice for blending and combining and your colors. This is so good practice for color, your colors. Okay. This composition's just got a little bit too much pink here. I might want to carry that over. I'll pick up some pink. I got to get some more out. I might want to just carry that all the way across like that. Do whatever you want. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to come over here on the green side. And if you want to kind of carry these pages together, then pull some of the pink over from that side. You could turn this into a flower. We can put, again, we can always add color book imagery on here. Now I do need a couple of shades of green. So I'm going to get out some forest green, because I already got out the mint green. Get out a little forest green. I got a little mint green. Let's just go with those two for now. Let's see what happens. So I don't want Indian summer there. So we're going to get rid of Indian summer. See? I don't like that text there. Let's pick up some mint green and maybe a little bit of pink. Let's just add some of that in there. Get rid of the text. See how we're going here? Then I do need to get some more colors out. These are starting to dry. So let's get a little bit more of the minty green, which is sea glass. And I need a little bit more white. And this is all just craft paint, guys. Where's my light? It's all just, I like Americana. They're not sponsoring me or anything. Maybe someday they will. But, you know, this is my favorite paint. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up some of the mint green and the white and kind of keep it marbly and just keep going, keep going. Maybe a little bit more of the dark green down here. And if you don't want it real textury like this, then take your baby wipe and just start blending. You can blend it out if you want it nice and smooth. I like the textury look, but just showing you another thing you can do. You can blend your paints together till they're just like a watercolor, I don't know about a watercolor painting, but like a painting where everything's real soft. Like this, see? And this could be a complete landscape over here. This landscape can come here, and then it could come up here in pink. You know, you could have a pretty flower there, or this could be a green flower and a pink. You know, you can do whatever. I'm just seeing this as two landscapes here. So go back in here with a dark pink and maybe carry that up that away. To make it your own world. I mean, personally, I'd be having some watches and some elements of time in here. Okay, so again, there's a white edge up there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get some of the mint and a little bit of the white and just kind of get rid of that. Just get rid of the whole white edge up there. So you can see where we're going with this. And this is just with using whatever's on the page. Yep, now the lettuce is a tree. Yeah. You have roots coming down. So you can take your paintbrush. You can use whatever you want. Anything you want. Okay. Just treat it like your art journal. Okay, treat it just like your art journal. Because it is your art journal. It's just that you have magazines as your base for, you know, a start. Get a thinner brush. Sorry guys, I know I bumped the camera just then. Can you take a liner brush here, get some white, and get in here and make some little root things. So just, again, just go with whatever you want to go with. Yeah, well, it's a magazine, yeah. It is a magazine. If you want to make sure that your paint is completely free of, you know, being damaged, you'll have to varnish your page. You'll have to varnish your page. I'll varnish one just so y'all can see, okay, when we get closer to being finished, because once I varnish it, you have to set it aside. You have to varnish, if you varnish a page, just like in my magazine, I mean, it's exactly like working with acrylic paint in my you know, your art journal, your collage, your mixed media, you're adding magazine images, you're adding, if you add calendar images, whatever you add, and you want it sealed, you'll have to varnish it. Okay, and I like my gloss varnish. That's just me, that's my preference. I like to work with matte medium for gluing, and then I varnish it in gloss. So you can kind of see where you're going here like that. This almost looks like a monster or something. I see an eye and a tongue. Actually, I would like to put a watch part right here. Let me just do that real quick. Hang on. Again, you could add a color book element like that little fairy we added on the other page. Let me dig out a piece of watch here for you guys. Let's see that one. Okay. And I'm just going to glue it. Technically, I would personally like to matte medium it in, but I'm kind of, you know, showing a lot of different things here for you guys. So if I want that to be something like this, and then like that. So let's go with this right there, and this right here. I want to put it in the center there, so I really need a sharp cut. And then let's just go with that. Okay, so let me get my glue. I'm just going to glue it in. Again, I always like to collage things in with my golden matte medium, but you can just glue things in too. Just be aware, if you glue things in like this, you know, you got to be aware of how much blending and things you can do. You can do any of it. It's mixed media, guys. And it's just using a magazine. It's just using a magazine with their background images instead of gluing in your own. Okay? Oh, question. James asked if you are Miss Naveen. Oh, Jean. Oh, no. Aw, I'm Dee Dee. I'm Dee Dee, James. The kids that are watching are commenting. Give James a magazine to color in, Sarah. Okay, and now I can take a little bit of my green here if I want to kind of blend that in a little. Let's get a little more texture going. Blend that in pretty nicely. Let him make his own glue book or paint book, Sierra. Now on this side, I'm going to go over here with the pink. Oh, I don't know how much pink left there. I'm running out of pink. Let's get a little bit of white and kind of like that. Don't want it too stark. Needs more mint. Where's my palette knife? Where's the palette knife now? Where is it? Okay. Too many books up here. Gotta move some things around. Can't find my palette knife. Do I stick it in the water? No? Alright, what do I do with it? I've got a hot mess here, guys, and I can't find my palette knife. Shift things around so I can make some room. Need these paint skins, these brushes. It's red, so it's not like it's hard to find. Did I drop it on the floor? No. Oh well. The palette knife went bye-bye somewhere. Where did it go? Oh well. It was right here. Did I throw it in the trash? No. Scissors. Okay. The palette knife is gone. So we'll use our fingers. Oh, I tore that out. Okay, gonna have to glue that back in. We'll use our fingers because I can't find my palette knife. I don't know where it went. I was like literally right here. And it's literally gone. It's not on the desk. Wow. That's weird. Did it? No, didn't close it. Oh, I see. I got a problem here. This is where I've tore out a heavy piece of cardstock. And that is right in the spine there, and it's making my page warp. I'm going to tear out that extra little place where the perforation was and get rid of that extra lump from where I tore things out. Because I tore out a whole bunch of cardstock here, and that is going to be a problem. It's going to lumpy up my page. There we go. That helps. All right. I don't know. I don't know where it went. Now it wants to lay flat. But now I got a little thing right there where where that lump was. All right. So let's go ahead and get some. Where's my black and gray? That's blue. Where's black? Oh. So I'm going to go in here with a little bit of black, a paintbrush, mix up a little blue, gray, whatever I need to fix my clock here. Because we went across the seam and caused a pink ditch. So I'm trying to fix that a little bit. And blend that in. I'm thinking it must have fallen in my water. Hang on, guys. No, it's not in the water. Wow. That is just Weird. How it just disappeared. There's black, there's the glue, there's the white, and inks, and scissors. It's bright red. How can it be gone off my desk? Bright red palette knife is just gone. I must have dropped it. No, there it is. It is on the floor. Okay, there we go. It's hard to lose that on a black table. It's hard to lose this on a black table. Oh, okay. Hub's just asking what we want to have for dinner tonight on Survivor. Tonight's Survivor night. Okay, so let me go back in here. Hey. And I want to put maybe... I got to keep cleaning my brushes too, because I don't want my brushes to get dried out. Okay, let's put a few little... I'm just trying to make this cohesive again. The two sides. Because I have that pink ditch from the spine being... Yeah, I found it was on the floor, Sarah. Okay, now let's... What was I going to do? Oh, that's dried. Yeah, it's a little bit dry. I think I might be able to pick up a little. My point is to make this a little bit brighter pink. And I need the dark pink again. Red, where's the bright pink? Let's go with a little bit brighter pink. Just so I can make it textured. I just want the texture here because I got the texture here. So, let's go with that. And that's the best way to do this textury stuff is with a palette knife. So I just want to kind of do that. I want a little bit darker right there. I'm going to pick some up. Okay, there we go. So we kind of made a little world here with, let me get a little brown in there and get rid of some of that pink from the inside that spine. When I took the other perforation out, that's Hupster. I did not answer him, so it's going to repeat. Okay. Alrighty. Hit enter and hit enter. And you okay, yeah. So then over here where these little leaves are, we can take the, let's get the, now I gotta dig around for my liner brush. Did I put it back in here? Without hitting my head on the... it's a different liner brush, but I'll use this one. I don't know where the one I just had. Okay, so I want to get some of this dark green. Another liner brush, and I want to connect these into like another little tree. They're just floating leaves like in a glass, but I'm going to make them all part of another little tree thing. So, anyway, just so you get the idea, guys, how you can use different elements. You can use the elements that are on the page to direct how you want to go with it. See? All right, so any questions on this? 12 already. Let me hit this with the heat gun. Let me move my wax paper. So that was a good lesson to know that if you do take out a lot of like cardstock, especially the Flow magazine, which has a lot, but there are cardstock pages in your Somerset Studio and other ones. You want to make sure that you remove that perforation the leftover cardstock where there was a perforated edge where you tore the cardstock out, because that will make a lump that won't lie down flat. And I do need to glue that in right there, or tape that back down. Have a little bit, I need that taped down, which for me, I'll just use a piece of washi tape, or I don't, it's a magazine journal, guys. I like it looking kind of funky. All right, so here's a little. So I'm just going to put it right there in the seam. Okay. Like that. So there's an idea for your mags. Again, this is the one we just made a little while ago. We made a how to make magazine journals with this kind of spine and with a washi tape and clear packing tape spine. So this is the one we made. This is with two magazines, two flow magazines. This one is with 4. So you can see, this has just got a piece of the cardstock out of the magazine that we glued to as the cover. And then the back is a piece of scrapbook paper glued to the back with washi tape glued down, not just washi tape stuck down. The washi tape is glued to the spine and then covered with packing tape to make it sturdy. You can also use duct tape. In this case, I just wrapped the spine. I wrapped the spine with the paper, glued heavily. Glue heavily. Okay, now this paper right here, guys, is extra thick cardstock. That's coated even. It's a shiny paper. Otherwise, I would recommend, and I probably still will do, put your packing tape over the spine, because it's going to wear. Okay, it's going to wear on the spine if you don't have packing tape. Just use the clear, 2-inch wide packing tape. Here's the back, and again, this is out of that stack. It was the Recollections. I'll show you this because everybody's asking about it. It's an old stack from, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 years ago. The Steampunk Botanica, and all the pages, it's got skeletons and, I've used it quite a bit, spider webs, but it's steampunk, and it's glossy, and it's thick. The paper's real thick and shiny. You can probably find it somewhere online, but it's a Michaels brand. Recollections is a Michaels brand. Okay, so I want to varnish this page for you, just so you can see how we varnish. I probably will, my magazine journals are for playing with paint and stuff like that, but if you want to, if I'm going to do a more finished collage, for me personally, I'm doing my collages, you see my mixed media collages, like I'm doing this kind of stuff in my Dilutions journal, and I have varnished these pages like this. So this is pure collage and paint. There's nothing was there, it's just a blank page. It was just a blank page for me to start with and doing mixed media collage on it. But if you don't know where to start or how to start, or you just don't know what to do, like here's the last one we did, and I have varnished these. I will varnish all of these as I go, okay? I will not be varnishing all my magazine journals pages. But if you want to do, this nice of a collage in your magazine journal using the images that are already there, then you can varnish it, okay? And I'll show you the varnish I use. This is the varnish I use. It's the Delta Ceramcoat Gloss Exterior Interior Varnish. This is the varnish that I use in my collage, in my art. Whoops. in my art cards, see the gloss varnish, this is the same varnish that I use on all my acrylic painted bits. Okay, so any questions? Real quick, any questions, guys? I'll go ahead and put a coat of varnish on this. Again, let's make sure and put our wax paper behind it because you'll glue your pages together. Okay, and I'm only going to varnish this just for a demo. Like I said, I won't be varnishing all my magazine journal pages, but I want to show you that you can. Okay, so if y'all have any questions, put it in caps. Now's the time to ask. So when I'm doing a varnishing in an art journal, I will use foam brushes. If I'm just varnishing my little art cards, I'll just use my finger and just smooth out the varnish. But if I'm doing a bigger page like this, I just use foam brushes. The reason I use the foam brushes is so that you don't get brush marks. You can use your finger too, and sometimes I'll test the edges and go right up to the edges with my finger. But a foam brush, okay? So but you gotta decide if you're done, okay? I could probably still think that I'd want to do a little bit more, you know, I want to do a little bit more work in this, like maybe some, because once you put the varnish on, you can't add more paint. It won't stick. Okay, let's see if that is still Huckster. Hang on. Okay. All right. He's talking about whether we want pizza tonight for Survivor night or what. So he doesn't know I'm still streaming. Oh, and I got to check my mail, guys, because in case we got Happy Mail, my announcement for the. Okay. So anyway, I could sit here and play for a while, but we're again rushed. Oh, we get rushed. Trying to get things as much done as we can. You don't have to rush in your processes. You know, you can take your time. But I kind of wanted to balance out the roots here with some little grasses or weeds. And technically speaking, I really want to do it with a, let me wet my brush down. I really want to do it with a liner brush here so it shows up. So we have like little weed things growing up here. Hang on, Hubster. I will answer you shortly. Anyway, just so you can kind of get the idea. Sign your name before varnishing it. Yeah, and that's true. You do want to sign your name before varnishing. On my art cards, I usually sign the back, so it doesn't matter. But that's a good point. If you do want to sign your work, you want to sign it before varnishing because you can't really do it on top of the varnish. Okay, you know, or sign it on the back. I'm not going to sign these. It's all in the same book. I'm not going to sign every page, although it's probably a good idea to sign your pages and date them. Let me hit that with the heat gun. Thanks, Terry Trouble. All right, so let me throw some varnish on this and I'll go check my mail. It's 12. He's been coming a little late lately. All right, so I'm just going to put a blob of. Now, sometimes, you know, if you want, you can water it down a little bit. I mean, I have been known to take and squirt it once with water just to get it flowing real quick, okay? Especially if it's just something like, you know, something little like this, like a magazine journal or something. But anyway, so the thing about the gloss varnish is you can just smooth it out like this. Smooth it out with your foam brush, and if you tilt your head to the side, you can see any place that you missed. Not that I'm real concerned about it right here in my magazine journal, but if you want to make sure it's completely varnished end to end, you can just look at it from the side and you can see any place that's non-shiny. Okay, so I'm just going to put a thin coat like that, because it will wrinkle your pages a little bit. It will buckle the page a little bit, and it's also going to depend on the thickness of your magazine journal. I don't mind if things buckle, like I showed you in my art journal. I mean, in my color books and stuff. I don't mind if it buckles a little. And then also by the time you do the back side, when you do the reverse side, it flattens things out. So, but just be aware of that. If you do, you want to keep it, don't oversaturate it if you don't have to. All right, so again, let me just keep my wax paper there for just a minute so I don't glue the pages shut. I'm going to rinse this brush out and go run and check my mail. So let me go do that real quick, guys. So just hang on. I'd put BB up here showing I'd be right back, but we don't want to glue BB to the page. Okay, let me rinse this out. Alright guys, let me run down and see if my mail's been here. I'll be right back. Alrighty then. Announcement coming. One second. Alright, so y'all are going to be the first to hear what we're going to do. And I will attach it somehow to my notations. Whoa! Sorry guys, I was closer to the camera than I thought. I have no room here. Catch my breath. Alright, so y'all know, open this Amazon box. Y'all know we're almost to 10,000 on YouTube. So, hang on. Look, it's a box within a box. Be patient, people! Box within a box. All right. So when we get to 10,000 on YouTube, I say we, because y'all are part of it, we have an awesome giveaway at 10,000. We're something like at 9,500 right now. And I know she doesn't like for me to say, who gives us stuff, but Kelly, who loves our channel, and I am going to preface this by saying, Kelly's very generous with us, and we give away a lot of stuff here because Kelly's generous to give it to us. And she says that she watches all the shows, she listens to comments, she knows you guys, and for her, you guys are like her fibs too, even though she's not in chat. She does all her everything, anything she does online is on her phone. She doesn't do anything on a computer, iPad, nothing. She does it all on her phone. So that's why you don't see her here in chat too. But she has really, talked a lot to me about how this show has meant so much to her. And so no, it's not Sean Connery, Lindsay Whimsy. How this show means a lot to her, as does, listening to us talk about who's saying what and all that. And it really means a lot to her. So she's real generous with us, and I know I appreciate it, and I know you guys do too. So when we get to 10,000 on YouTube, Kelly has given us a brand new set of 150 Prismacolor pencils for giveaway. And there's a glare because it's wrapped up, obviously. I'm not going to unwrap it. Y'all know what these look like. And so this is going to be the giveaway when we get to 10,000 subscribers. I will make a special, giveaway announcement place where people can comment. It'll be a random drawing. It'll be, don't do it. I mean, you can still comment now, of course, but this is not for the giveaway yet. When we get to 10,000, that will be the giveaway for the 10,000. I know everybody's going, wow, Kelly. I know. She's awesome, isn't she? So, yeah. So she bought us a new box of Prismacolors for the giveaway because she feels like she's one of the fibs. And she is. She's one of the friends in the box. And so everybody is saying, thank you, Kelly, for sharing and how generous you are. And that embarrasses her. Just saying. She's going to tell me later, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed when y'all were going on and on about me. But, it's only right. She said, just say it's an anonymous gift. Just say it's from anonymous. Well, I can't do that because she's generous to share with us, and I have to shout her out, even if it's a little embarrassing. But just to let you guys know, she doesn't like it when I do that. She doesn't like it when I shout her out, but I'm shouting her out. And so, yes. So that will be our giveaway at 10,000 subbies here. She's probably messaging me going, oh my gosh, I'm totally embarrassed. But anyway. So I'll keep these boxes because these boxes will be perfect. The boxes came in will be perfect and send it out to whoever wins it. So, yeah, and Terry Trouble said that you're definitely one of the fibs and that we love you, Kelly. That's from Terry. Well, everybody's saying thank you to you, Kelly. And so y'all be paying attention when you see, and I'll announce it here, of course, when we get close to doing it. And it'll be a random drawing. All you have to do is leave a comment in YouTube, and I'll write down all the names again and put them in a box or put them in red, however was the best way to do it, So, yeah, group hug for Kelly. I know trust me, guys, she's mortified right now. But I can't let such an awesome giveaway go by without giving credit. Am I right, guys? Am I right to shout her out? Yes. Yes. And Carrie said, Kelly, that shouting you out and embarrassing you makes you part of the group. So anyway, guys, that's the show for the day. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll try to make a magazine journal for yourself. And yes, Pepper, same person. Yes, Pepper. Everybody's saying yes. We had to shout you out, Kelly. We had to. It's our way. It's our way to shout you out. Yes. Okay, guys. So I hope y'all enjoyed making the magazine journal. And we'll make one for yourself. It's very easy. Some glue and some tape and some paint. And then you don't have to, worry about a white blank page. And what do I do? What do I do? You can glue and Do all that. Oh, got a question, off-topic question. No, I have not, Terry. Terry Trouble. Terry Trouble's asked me, have you put on Society 6 yet? Because Terry wants an iPhone case for her new iPhone, and I haven't put it up yet. Should I just print you out one and send it to you, and you can put it under where's my phone? You can put it under a plastic one like this until you can get one. Just get you a clear plastic, Terry, and tell me the size of your phone, because she got the new iPhone 7. And I'll print you out one, Terry, because I've not put them on Society 6 yet. She wants one. Oh, tell me which one you want, Terry, and I'll make you one. Email me, Terry. Email me. Until I get them up on Society 6 where you can buy one, I'll print it up. I'll make you one. Oh, my gosh. All right, guys. Yeah, message me the specs, Terry, and I'll print you out one you can put behind a clear plastic, okay? Okay, well, there you go. You have the clear case already. There you go. All right, guys. Well, I don't know that I'll stream on Friday. It's always iffy for my Fridays. Like I said, I always stream Monday, most Wednesdays, and some Fridays. So if not, we'll see you on Monday. As we say, the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Bye, guys. If you think of the magazine journal as a magazine, as an art journal, so whatever you like to do in your art journals, whether it's collage, painting, mixed media, glue books, journaling, whatever you like to do in your regular art journals, you can do in a magazine journal, but you've already got a start to it. So if you come to a page and it's just not something, it's a lot of text, you don't really want to keep that. You may want to keep that article. You may not. You don't have to paint every single page. You can keep some like it is. It can be a combination. It can be whatever you like. So, like, for instance, here's a whole bunch of pages I've already torn out of the flow. Okay. And so it can be a combination of whatever you like to do in your regular art journal, but you have some starts to things. So it's not just, you don't have a blank slate to start with. Okay? Thanks, Busy Jill. Good to see you. And I do have some pages that got a little glued together because we just made this magazine journals in the last show. And I was a little not as careful as I should have been with the glue, so some of the pages got a little stuck on the edges. Okay, so, all right, let's just start with, well, I want something a little bit more, like, okay, for instance here. Well, let's start with this. And I did use the Flow magazines. I used 4 of them in this one, and I used 2 of them in this one, and I just did the spines differently on the 2, so that's why I got 2 different ones here. I like them thick and fluffy, and if they start getting fluffy, I don't mind that. But I will say again, like I said in the other part, when you make these, if you just want to start from the first page and work all the way to the back, your spine, yeah, guys. Okay, welcome back, everybody, to Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dee Dee. This is a live show on Ustream.tv. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, thanks for being here. It's a live show with a live audience, no editing. What you see is what you get. We upload just the show. Anyway, so we have made 2 magazine journals. So in part one, I showed how, these are some other ones that I have, how to make magazine journals, and what they are is journals made out of magazines. And so these are 2 of my older ones. You can see they're really well loved. They're well used. I did show a little bit of the insides of these on the making of the 2 new ones. So I won't go through those again because I want to get crack-a-lackin' and do something in them. So we used 4 Flow magazines. Just a little scrap of something there. Oh, that's still that same little biz keeps worrying me there. We made 1 out of 4 Flow magazines, and as you can see, I use my Flow magazine, so there's a lot of stuff cut out of that one, but this is 4 of them, and on this one we used some heavy, glossy scrapbook paper to cover and wrap all the way around, and then a second piece here with the spine being wrapped to there, and used just the paper to wrap all the way around the spine. So I showed how to glue and all that. This one is 2 flow magazines. And again, you can see I've taken a lot of stuff out of the magazines themselves. And this one we glued and sealed with packing tape, a washi tape spine. Okay, so this one has a washi tape spine. This one has the paper wrapped all around the spine. Amount of paint. Here's one with some stencils painted in. Here's one with a lot of stencil. You can use your rubber stamp, stenciling. Try to flip to so you can see. So in your magazine journal, you can use it for a lot of different things. Here's some famous pears. Again, this is just written with the eyedropper. There's another one where you painted out the background. So like this was the image and then painted out the whole thing. Here's a lighter color one. So essentially what you're doing is you're picking an image off of the magazine and using it as your color inspiration and using those colors to reverse collage or get rid of the things you don't want on the page. Okay? So I don't add a lot of collage in mine. I use more just painting out things. So yeah, that's what we're going to do, a couple of samples. Now, these I use old Flow magazines. You can use whatever kind of magazine you like. If you're into nature, get you nature magazines. My mom loves Birds in Bloom and, you know, those kind of magazines. Oh, and also let me give you a tip from my mom. She does color books as well. Anyway, so I want to show you some of the things you can do in them. Now, for the most part, what I do is, as I showed in the first part, you white out or color out the things that you don't want to keep. Well, let me go ahead and show an example. For instance, here's a page here. This was already in the magazine, and this is all painted out, distressed with inks and all kinds of things. You can just paint out all around things like this. This is all things that are left from those pages, and then just paint it out. You can stencil, you can stamp. Let me see here. This has just got some extra collage stuff on it. You can, I want to find one that's got some stenciling and stamping on. I don't do a lot of stenciling and stamping in mine, but you can do a lot of painting out, painting on top, put your own images in. Where's one with stencil? Let's see. I think it's in the other one. Hang on. This one's got more in it. Here's where we've done writing with I just took a bottle of ink and just wrote with the stopper thing and wrote. And then these were the images here, and then they've been painted, distressed. Let's see here. It's another one. Another one. This one's real distressed. I'm trying to find the ones with stencils. Here's one with minimal. She will, when she gets done with her magazine, like Birds in Bloom or Nature magazines, she does a lot of color booking. So what she does is she cuts out the birds, the leaves, the butterflies, and keeps them as reference reference material to how to color those things in color books. Now, of course, you can always just look it up on Pinterest or Google Images or whatever, but she takes her magazines and cuts out good images of birds, butterflies, flowers, leaves for the colors, so that when she's coloring a color book page that has flowers, birds, but whatever, she has a reference to how to color. And you know, she wouldn't consider herself an artist. She doesn't paint and all that, but she likes to color. So that is a good way to keep your color book references. And I think she just puts them in some plastic sleeves. But what I was going to say is you could use your magazine journals to collect your color book photos that you cut out of other magazines. Like, let's just say A Bird in a Bloom. If I cut out a bunch of birds, I could glue them in this book and you could tab them. Some of these even have the tabs left from the flow, but you could tab this and use this as kind of a glue book, reference book. I have mostly animal magazines. How can I keep my journal excited now? Well, in this case, I have 4 magazines. You know, there's 4 different magazines. If you don't want them to be like solid animals, then don't use them as like the only magazine, or you can glue things on top of it, or paint them out and glue other things on top of them. Because just treat it like it's an art journal, but with a start to it already.